Yeah, definitely. Hi, my name is David Martinez or Dave Martinez. I've a little bit of a background on myself. I have been in sales a really long time. A story that I like to kind of preface with is that probably Tim, myself, and our brother, we've probably been selling since we were six because when we were young playing sports and selling chocolates, our dad used to make us practice our spiel with him. And from there, once we had it down, he would send us off into the neighborhood and we'd go sell. So we've been in sales a long time, definitely over 45 years probably. So I have been in enterprise sales up and down probably about 24 years. So it's been a long time. I've had a lot of training in knowing how to best run through sales processes and cycles. I've had a good amount of success in there, but I would think probably for this form, the best part is the experience, the trial and error. What I've seen has worked, what I see has been successful, because I think it gives a background as to what organizations I have seen have had an organized approach that have helped their sales force become successful. And with that, there's something I'd say is, there's really no secret sauce to it. There's some very fine basic points that help make a person successful. So there's not a lot of thought process to it. I think that the biggest part of the whole process is what happens between your ears. I think we can at times get more in our head than just realize that it's very very basic, and it happens to me frequently, and I just have to kind of remind myself, hey, it's basic. Just get back down to basics, and when you do that, business continues to roll in.
Yeah. So Dave, question for you. What do people get wrong when it comes to sales, regardless of how big of the organization is, whether they're selling independently for themselves as a consultant or a coach, or they're building a sales force? Where do you see people typically get it wrong?
There's a couple of different areas. So people feel that once they have a little bit of success or they have a couple of accounts they're working on, they stop um, either marketing or cold calling, prospecting. And that's what I think is the true grit of it. If you want to be successful, you have to continually fill the funnel, because things will fall off and things will close. And in order to be consistent, you have to consistently be making those calls, and follow up. So I think two biggest pieces of it are consistency and follow up. If you don't have consistency, you're not going to keep filling the funnel. If you don't have good follow up, you're going to keep throwing things in the back of the cart, but you're never going to get to the things you originally put in the cart to close them, or at least filter them through, because you're just continually filling, and the good stuff, even the bad stuff, is falling off the back of the cart. So you have to have a process in which, whether for myself, I like to make my calls or go out and talk to new accounts or accounts a couple hours a day. And then maybe you have follow up Fridays or a couple of days where you follow up. It's some very basic principles, but when you're consistent with those principles, it gives you a consistent, um, I guess, final goal of the amount of business that you're bringing in, because you're always filling it in and you're always funneling it at the back, whether it's to close or to move on. And then I think another big piece of that is you have to realize what is ready. Part of that filtering is knowing the timeline, what's ready now, what's ready 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, so you're not wasting your time and spinning your wheels when you don't have the timeline, you don't have the right decision makers, you don't know their capex, opex, right, for that. And when you have some very specific pieces of information, then you at least can put it on a relative timeline based on their projection and what your timeline is. And then the biggest piece is follow up, because sometimes the timeline moves up. So you need to be making the phone calls, you need to be making the email, sending emails, and just make sure you are doing your due diligence on your end. So that
So
way, you know what next steps are.
question on that. What is your response to, because I hear this all the time, all the time. Um, I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to annoy them. You know, I've already contacted them 2 times and they haven't got back to me. What's your response to when people want to pump the brakes because they feel like they're pestering the client, or maybe they've recently contacted them, they're not getting back and they just want to hold off?
I think the thing is, there really is no pestering the client. You just haven't done your part to find out where the delta is in meeting their specific need, objective, or timeline. You know, um, I have felt that, but something that I've kind of thought of is you know, if I don't have the business firmly rooted in my hand, meaning that my that I've got a hold of it and that it's already closed, then really, if I have an open hand, there's nothing in it. I've got nothing to hold on to. So what does it matter whether I'm calling, emailing, dropping by, right? It's like that sign in the door, no solicitors. Well, if you're afraid of that sign, you're in the wrong business. You should pretty much ignore that sign and walk in because that's your job, whether it's your own business or it's your job as a salesperson. I'm not a solicitor, I'm a consultant. I'm an added partner to the business. If you don't want what I have, then one, I'm speaking to the wrong person, or two, maybe I haven't conveyed my point well enough.
Yeah. You know, that's, I'm gonna say that's gangster. That's gangster of you to say that. I love it. You know, I was bragging to you the other day that I was making some cold calls, and my numbers were so low that you're laughing, and you're like, I go bang on doors even to this day. Like, just for everyone on the call, my brother actually physically goes into businesses and knocks on the doors and is constantly cold calling. So if your business is lacking for business, my question to you is, are you prepared to go knock on the door? You know, are you prepared to pick up the phone and make a cold call? What is it that people can like break through the mental barrier of picking up the call to go cold or to go knock on the cold door? What's that mental barrier?
So there's two mental aspects to that. I like to say that I like showing my face in front of the door because it's a lot harder to close the door on my face than it is to hang up on me, right? So, and I understand some people and some aspects of the business can only cold call, which is fine. But you just have to be that much more diligent in your approach. You have to be that much more. I think without getting into too much of the weeds, I think you need to have your spiel down, because people are only going to give you about 30 seconds, right? When you're on a phone flipping through Instagram or your face, whatever it is, you give it about 10 seconds. Well, you got to figure that the customer is probably about the same. But I'll give you a little tip. I'll give you a little piece of gold. So when I call, I don't just regurgitate what I know. I don't just call to vomit all over them. I call and I ask for help. I'll say, hey, Tim, my name's Dave Martinez. I could really use your help. And most people want to help. I say, I just am looking for the person that I can speak to for 1, 2, 3. Right? Reason being, there's an update, there's a solution, there's a product that I feel might be best for the business, and your help would be greatly appreciated.
That's
Usually,
great.
yeah, people don't want to be jerks and say no. They'll at least maybe give you a name, or they'll at least take a message, or they'll give you some piece of information. And then you hold on to the information, you call back again a couple of days or the next week, right? Call it a different time. Call early in the morning, call late in the afternoon, right? Call at lunch. You have to try different approaches. Send the email, send a letter, look on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right? Get
Yeah.
to those individuals.
So yesterday we were chatting, and I want to kind of turn the page here just a little bit. One of the fears that I've seen in sales organizations is when you have a sales rep and they go out to sell something, but they're not fully confident in what they're selling.
Yeah.
Or it's not fully tried and true. And that's okay, right? In software sales, especially early stage companies, you're not always going to sell something that's been sold a million times, like a cell phone or something like that, right?
Right.
What's your approach towards that, towards selling something, and maybe it's a new product or testing something or something new in the market, and getting
Yeah.
the hurdle of not having that product or service confidence?
Right. So typically for myself, I don't like making my customers the guinea pig on a new product, because I like to get some type of history behind it. And if there's a product already out there in the market, or the company is selling a product, there's going to be a hopefully a history of trial, and you can maybe speak to your customers about the phase of which that trial may be in. But at the end of the day, you need to make sure that one, either you're pretty confident that the product is pretty rock solid, you've got a decent length of I guess return. So if they're not happy with it, they can return it, whatever that process may be. Um, Whether you might be issuing some type of credit for the service upfront, just until everything is rolled out appropriately and deployed effectively. So there's going to be various different angles to go, but I like to see a product that's got a bit of history behind it and success before I sell something. Because at the end of the day, it's my name. I might be selling for whatever company, but my name's going to have mud on it. So I prefer it not to,
Yeah.
because then you've got to jump through hoops to try to make it right with a customer and restore that relationship, no matter how long you've known them.
Yeah. I guess that'll be the final question I'll ask, and then we'll open up for some questions. But relationships. Talk to us about relationships. How important are relationships? How long do these relationships last? How do you strengthen them and build them when there is no relationship there yet?
Yeah. Yeah. So building relationships is, I've seen a couple different aspects of that. When you're able to actually go out on the streets and build the relationships in front of customers, then it makes it easier because you've got a face to face. But when you don't have that ability, then you've got to make sure that your follow up is on point. Not only that your follow up is on point, but that whatever information you're providing is accurate and concise and easy to read. You want to have sincerity. You want to have some type of maybe an empathy for whatever their situation may be. You want to obviously try to be, as it goes without saying, as friendly as you can, because customers can read when you're desperate, and customers can read when you're just trying to get the sale. So if you're not genuine, which is probably the best word, if you're not genuine, they're not going to really be apt to work with you, because at the end of the day, they can go on Google and find anyone else and realize that when they go on there, they're really just trying to find a product. But if you're calling, you're trying to make an attempt to earn business, but build relationship. And relationship is key, because once you've got the relationship, they're buying you. They're not buying the product, because you, in essence, are the product. Your follow through on that, the information you provide, your ability to meet certain gaps they may have in the business is ultimately your role, your I don't know if I want to say responsibility, but you're the bridge between what you're providing and their need. And as long as you keep that bridge well functioning, you're going to have a good, decent, long relationship. And, I would even say, move it beyond directors or office managers, or you really want to get in with and build a relationship with the owners, because at the end of the day, if you've got a relationship with the owner, you can bring anything to the table and they're pretty much going to buy, as long as it makes sense that you're looking out for the business. But the sales cycle is a lot quicker. You could be within a month.